You've probably never woken up and thought, today feels like the day I accidentally become the most dangerous person in the room. Nobody does. Nobody plans for it. But here's the wild part. Some people do become exactly that, and they had absolutely no idea it was happening until it was already too late to go back. And the truly unhinged thing about being dangerous isn't what most people think it is. It's not the muscles. It's not the weapons. It's not even the anger. It's something so quiet, so invisible, so completely ordinary that you've probably already got it. And you've been walking around this whole time completely unaware of what you're carrying. Welcome to the video. For Real Bro here, where we say what no one else will. And before you think you already know where this is going, I promise you, you absolutely. Because here's the thing nobody talks about. The actual science of what makes a human being genuinely dangerous has almost nothing to do with what movies told you. And once you understand what it really is, you're going to look at certain people in your life very, very different. Some of them harmless. Some of them not so harmless. And one of them might be you. Part 1. The Lee we all believed about what dangerous actually means. Okay, so your whole life, whenever someone said dangerous person, your brain immediately pulled up a very specific image. Big guy, intimidating face, probably a leather jacket, maybe a scar. Definitely not someone who smiles too much or carries a tote bag. That's the movie version of dangerous, and we've all been trained on it since birth. Action heroes, crime thrillers, every single documentary about a serial killer that somehow always zooms in on their childhood bedroom. We got the same memo. Dangerous. Looks a certain way, except. Turns out, that is spectacularly, embarrassingly wrong. And the evidence for this has been sitting in plain sight this entire time, and almost nobody talks about it because it ruins the narrative we all find so comforting. Here's what researchers who actually study human conflict and influence have been quietly discovering for decades. The most dangerous people on the planet are not the physically threatening ones. They are the ones with the sharpest understanding of how human beings actually think, and that changes everything. Because that skill has nothing to do with size, strength, or aggression. It's about pattern recognition. It's about reading the invisible machinery underneath social situations. It's about knowing what someone needs before they've said a single word. Now you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds like a life coach, not a dangerous person. And that's exactly the problem. Because the same skill that makes someone an incredible leader, an incredible therapist, an incredible friend, that exact same skill, pointed in a different direction, is what makes someone genuinely terrifying. The most dangerous tool ever created isn't a weapon. It's deep, precise understanding of another human being's psychology. And that's where things start to get very interesting. Because ask yourself, who in your life actually has that? Who knows exactly what to say to calm you down? Who knows what buttons to push to fire you up? Who always seems to know what you need before you ask? Shh. Keep that person in mind. We're coming back to them. Part 2. The beautiful, terrifying gift nobody asked for. So now that we've established that dangerous doesn't look like what we thought, let's talk about what actually being in possession of this kind of awareness actually feels like. Because this is where it gets surprisingly complicated, and kind of hilarious in a deeply uncomfortable way. People who have high emotional and social intelligence, the real kind, not the LinkedIn post kind, describe it as living life with the subtitles on. Everyone else is watching the movie. They're reading what's underneath it, simultaneously. Someone smiles at you. Most people see a smile. These people see which muscles aren't involved. Notice the half-second delay before it appeared, and I've already processed 3 possible reasons for it before the conversation even started. That sounds like a superpower. And in many ways, it absolutely is. You can walk into a room and immediately know the social dynamics. You can navigate conflicts that would destroy other people's relationships. You can make strangers feel genuinely seen and understood within minutes. But here's the part they don't tell you about when you're busy admiring this gift. It's exhausting in a way that's almost impossible to explain to someone who doesn't have it. Because you can't turn it off. You're at dinner with your family, and instead of just enjoying dinner, you're tracking 17 emotional undercurrents simultaneously. Silently noting that your uncle's cheerfulness is slightly forced tonight and wondering what happened between him and your aunt before they arrive. You cannot just watch a movie. You're analyzing character motivations while your friends are just enjoying popcorn. Like animals. And this is where the first dangerous part kicks in. Because when someone has this level of awareness, and they're not careful, and most people aren't, They start using it to manage everyone around them without those people ever realizing it. Not necessarily with bad intentions, often with incredibly good intentions. They smooth over conflicts before they happen. They steer conversations away from disaster. They give people exactly the response those people needed to hear. And it all feels helpful. It all feels kind. But what's actually happening is that they are quietly, completely in control of everyone in the room. And the scary part is that nobody notices, including sometimes them. Part 3.
The moment it stops being a gift and becomes something else.
This is the chapter nobody warned you about. Because up until this point, everything we've described sounds like a good thing. Smart person. Reads people well. Helps everyone. Very nice. Give them a medal. But there's a tipping point. A specific moment when this whole thing flips. And it's so subtle that most people who cross it never even notice they've done it. It happens when the skill starts operating without the person's conscious permission. When it becomes automatic. When it's no longer something they're doing and becomes something that's just running in the background, making decisions on their behalf. And the first sign that this has happened is something psychologists have studied, but nobody talks about in polite conversation. They start winning arguments they weren't even trying to win. You know this person. You've met this person. You've had a disagreement with them that somehow ended with you apologizing even though you were definitely the one who was right. You sat there afterward trying to figure out what happened, genuinely confused, replaying the conversation, and you couldn't find the exact moment when the narrative flipped on you. That's not an accident. That's someone whose social intelligence has become so deeply automatic that they've started to navigate conflict the way a chess grandmaster plays chess. 3, 4, 5 moves ahead of you while you're still deciding whether to open with a pawn. And the most unsettling part of all of this is that when you ask them about it afterward, these people, most of them genuinely don't know they did it. The really dangerous ones are the unconscious ones, not the manipulators who know they're manipulated. Those people are actually easier to deal with because at least they're aware. The truly dangerous person is the one who genuinely believes they were just having a normal conversation while the other person is left feeling strangely off balance and they can't explain why. This is where it gets brutally, uncomfortably real. Because here's the part that's going to hit different. A lot of people with this level of awareness are also people who deeply value connection, honesty, and being good. They don't see themselves as dangerous at all. They see themselves as the person who holds everything together, the one who keeps the peace, the one everyone comes to. And that identity, that sense of being the responsible one, the aware one, the competent one, is exactly the cage they've been building for themselves the entire time. You're not watching out for everyone else. You're just unable to stop. And there is a massive difference between those two things. Part 4.
The uncomfortable mirror. What it costs them.
All right. Here's where we need to slow down for a second, because this is the part that people who think they're the aware one really don't want to sit. We've been talking about how this awareness affects everyone around them, and it does. But what about what it does to the person who has it? What's the actual price tag on being the most socially intelligent person in the room, all the time, everywhere you go? Because there's a cost. There's always a cost. And for these people, the cost is something so profoundly ironic that when you see it clearly, it's almost funny. Almost. Person who understands everyone else with terrifying accuracy is almost always the person who is the most misunderstood in their own life. While they're busy reading everyone in the room, nobody is reading. While they're tracking 17 emotional undercurrents simultaneously, their own emotional state is sitting there completely unprocessed because there's no bandwidth left for it. While they're managing everyone else's conflicts, their own internal conflicts are just stacking up, quietly, in a very organized pile they've promised themselves they'll get to later. They will not get to it later. And here's the brutally funny self-sabotage part. They often can't even tell a therapist what they're actually feeling because the moment they start to explain it, they get distracted by analyzing the therapist's micro-expressions and wondering if they said the right thing to prompt genuine curiosity versus professional obligation. They're sitting in the one room where they're supposed to be the one being understood, and they've turned it into another performance, another reading of the room, another instance where they're managing the dynamic instead of existing inside it. And the deepest, most uncomfortable truth of it. A lot of people with this level of awareness chose to develop it as a survival mechanism, somewhere at some point, usually pretty early. Their environment was unpredictable enough that learning to read people wasn't a cute skill. It was a necessity. It was protection. It was how you knew when the mood was about to shift, when to be invisible, when to step in, and what started as survival became identity. And what became identity became a trap. And the trap looks exactly like competence from the outside, which is why nobody ever offers to help the person who has it. Because they look like they have everything handled. They always look like they have everything handled. Part 5. The twist nobody
saw coming.
And what it means for you. Here's where everything circles back. Remember at the beginning when I told you to keep someone in mind. Whoever in your life seems to always know what you need, always reads the room right, always seems one step ahead. We're back to them, but we're back to them differently now. Because what we've actually been talking about this entire video, the real thing underneath all of this, isn't danger. It's not manipulation. It's not some terrifying ability to control people. It's loneliness. The most sophisticated, well-disguised, competently managed loneliness you've ever seen. And the dangerous thing about it isn't what it does to others. The dangerous thing is what it does to the person carrying it. Quietly, impressively, completely alone. While everyone around them assumes they're fine because they always handle everything so well. Person most dangerous to the people around them is often the person most at risk from themselves. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way that shows up on any radar. In the slow, invisible way of someone who has been giving everyone else exactly what they need for so long that they've completely forgotten how to receive it. Or more precisely, they know how to appear to receive it so well that nobody realizes they never actually do. They know the right things to say in response to care. They know how to accept a compliment. They know how to seem vulnerable enough to seem human. And none of it is fake, exactly. It's just managed. And the most hilarious, awful punchline to all of this, the callback to everything we talked about, is that the thing that made them the most dangerous person alive, the awareness, the ability to understand people with terrifying precision, it is also the exact thing that makes genuine connection almost impossible for them. Because connection requires uncertainty. It requires not knowing how the other person is going to respond. It requires actually being surprised. And when you've spent your whole life eliminating surprises because surprises weren't safe, you've also accidentally eliminated the space for real connection to happen. You solved the puzzle so well that you locked yourself out of the reward. So the theory reveal, the thing this entire video is actually about, is this: being the most dangerous person alive isn't about what you can do to other people. It's about what you can accidentally do to yourself when awareness becomes armor, when competence becomes isolation, when reading every room means never being able to just sit in one. The most dangerous people alive are the ones who are completely safe to everyone around them and quietly, slowly unsafe to themselves. And here's what that means for you. Not as a warning, but as permission. Any part of this video felt weirdly personal. If you've been the person who holds everything together, who reads every room, who always knows what to say, who everybody leans on and nobody checks on, maybe the most dangerous thing you can do right now is just stop managing for 5 minutes. Let someone see the unmanaged version. Don't explain it perfectly. Don't frame it right. Don't read their response and adjust your delivery in real time. Just be in the room without running the room. Terrifying, right? For Real Bro predicted that reaction, because of course it feels terrifying. It's the one thing you never learned how to do. And the wild part? The people who actually matter won't need it to be managed. They'll show up anyway. And the ones who don't, well, you already knew that before I said it, didn't you? Because you always know. Now drop a comment telling me who you were thinking about this entire video. And yes, if that person was yourself, I respect it more than you know. Don't be shy about it. The comment section is the one room even the most dangerous person can't manage in real time. And if some part of you wants to subscribe, look, I'm not going to ask. You know if this was worth it. And you definitely already know what you're going to do. You always do.